Welcome to the pharmaphorum podcast. This is web editor Nicole Raleigh, and today I'll be speaking with Leonard Mazur, CEO and Chairman of Citius Pharmaceuticals, and also an accomplished pharma leader with over 5 decades of experience, who has built several companies from the ground up. Welcome, Leonard.
It's a pleasure. Thank you for accommodating us and giving us this platform to be able to communicate more about the company. Thank you.
So today we'll be discussing Citius Pharmaceuticals' launch of its first FDA-approved drug, Lymphir, to treat patients with a rare blood cancer known as Cutaneous T-cell lymphoma. However, to begin with, Leonard, I was wondering if you could briefly introduce yourself to listeners and describe for us a little bit the journey that led you to doing what you do today.
Yes, sometimes I wonder about that journey myself, but nevertheless, I have spent more than 5 decades in the pharmaceutical and biotech industry, primarily focused on building companies and bringing new treatments and therapies to patients who have limited treatment options. And I've had an incredible, actually, those 5 decades I wouldn't trade them for anything. So I've had the opportunity to help develop several companies, grow the market for new and established brands, and at the same time, now with Citius Pharma and Citius Oncology, go from clinical development to commercialization. So in the past, I was heavily involved on the commercial side for the most part, and usually, as far as new drugs and new technologies, they were already approved, and I would launch them. But this is a little bit different for me, but I've enjoyed it so far. To go from clinical development to commercialization. Plus, motivating me is the opportunity to take scientific innovations and translate those into real-world treatments and help improve patients' lives, because that's what our industry is all about, is to help the patient, basically. So, and at Citius, our focus has been on identifying areas of significant unmet medical need, as well as advancing therapies that can meaningfully improve outcomes. So Lymphir represents an important milestone for the company, most importantly for patients with cutaneous T-cell lymphoma, or CTCL, who need additional treatment options.
Thank you, Leonard. So as you say, your almost lifelong, as it were, primary focus has been on helping those with limited options, which brings us to this focus on cutaneous T-cell lymphoma, or as you say, CTCL, which for listeners who might not know is a rare form of non-Hodgkin lymphoma that begins in T lymphocytes, a kind of white blood cell that plays a crucial role in the immune system, and it primarily affects the skin, leading to symptoms such as scaly patches, bumps, or tumors. And these skin conditions can seem like psoriasis or eczema, and that makes diagnosis challenging indeed. So, thinking about the unmet needs of CTCL patients, Leonard, what can you tell us about the landscape as stands currently?
Well, I think the way I look at CTCL is, and the way we look at it, is that it's really a challenging disease in several ways. Personally, it's rare. It's a rare disease, and it's often underdiagnosed or undiagnosed because the early symptoms resemble common skin conditions. For example, like psoriasis, eczema, and others. As a result, patients will go through misdiagnosis before they receive the correct diagnosis and begin appropriate treatment. Another challenge for CTCL is that it's chronic and progressive. Now, patients often cycle through multiple lines of treatment as the disease evolves, and unfortunately, many of the available treatments eventually lose their effectiveness. So what you have here is something where this disease starts out, for example, being treated by the dermatologist because of that skin manifestation of it. And so some patients will stay at that level for all their lives. They're the fortunate ones. Others don't, and move into the more serious phase, or the tumor phase, and then become the province of treatment by oncologists. And within that group, Some will more or less remain that way, or it could be up to years. Others could advance very quickly and the disease progresses, and ultimately, unfortunately, they'll pass away. So, because of that, what I just described for you, that there remains a significant need for new treatments that offer a durable response while maintaining a good safety profile. So, physicians treating CTCL are constantly looking for additional treatment options, if possible, that can fit into the treatment sequence and help patients whose diseases has either persisted or recurred.
Thank you, Leonard. So this is why Citius, or Citius as you've been pronouncing it, I do apologize, Leonard, is focused on developing and commercializing Lymphir, which is a targeted immune therapy for the initial indication of the treatment of persistent or recurrent CTCL. Can you tell us more about this, please, Leonard?
So basically, as you've indicated, it's Lymphir is a targeted immune therapy designed primarily to address some of the unmet needs that I've identified, but it targets IL-2 receptor or malignant T cells, delivers a cytotoxic payload directly to those cancer cells. The goal of that approach is really to selectively eliminate the malignant cells while limiting damage to healthy tissue. Treatment was approved by the FDA for patients with either a persistent or recurrent CTCL after prior systemic treatment, which is an important group of patients who often have limited options remaining. And what makes Lymphir particularly meaningful is that the CTCL patients frequently cycle through treatments over time. So it'll go from one to the next. So introducing an additional treatment with a novel mechanism of action can persuade physicians with another important tool in managing this disease. So our focus right now is on ensuring physicians, understand where Lymphir fits into the treatment paradigm and making sure patients who may benefit have access to the therapy. So, and what everyone should understand is that paradigm, that treatment paradigm, there is no one, two, or three. It's whatever the physician can start, the oncologist can start with whatever drug you'd like to, and they can go from one to the next depending upon the responses that they see, whether they and the efficacy that they generate or the side effect that that patient may go through. So it's one where there's a lot of observation by that oncologist in how to treat these patients and take them through the various drugs.
Thank you. So I believe that Citius has also been advancing clinical trials in other areas without approved treatments, including Minoloc, a novel antibiotic lock therapy to treat catheter-related infections that patients with cancer may experience. I was wondering if you could discuss that in greater detail.
So basically, oncology is an important focus for the company, but we've also been developing treatments, as you've outlined, where patients face serious complications and limited treatment options. And Miniloc is a great example. It's a novel antibiotic lock treatment invented by Dr. Issam Rad at MD Anderson in Houston, and it's designed to treat catheter-related bloodstream infections without the need to remove the catheter. For patients receiving chemo or other long-term treatments, primarily cancer patients, catheter infections are unfortunately common and can be very dangerous. The standard of care requires two separate surgical procedures where the catheter is removed surgically and then replaced surgically, which can be that's invasive, it's painful, it's costly, and it's disruptive to the IV flow. So Miniloc was designed to sterilize the catheter in place and allow patients to continue their treatment without any interruptions. So basically, the way it works is a nurse would administer the drug, which is comprised of minocycline, sodium EDTA, and alcohol. The nurse would inject that solution into the catheter. The line gets locked. The drug does not go into man, so it would reside within the catheter and the line for 2 hours, At the end of 2 hours, the nurse comes in, aspirates out the contents, and resumes the flow of IV. So the patient has 22 hours of uninterrupted IV flow. So there's no major impact in terms of that. Do this 5 to 7 days in a row, and that catheter should be completely sterilized, including any biofilm that may have also gone into that, somehow manifested itself into the catheter. And biofilm is bacterial slime. It turns out that the bacteria have an affinity for plastic, and as a result, very hard to remove, but we do remove the biofilm, and we sterilize the catheter completely after 5 to 7 days of treatment.
Just brilliant. Wow. Thank you for sharing that with us, Leonard.
Okay.
So that brings us round to the podcast's usual end question, a future-facing question. And I was wondering, with this oncological innovation, quite broad-ranging oncological innovation we've been discussing today, where would you hope available therapies for CTCL patients to be in the next 5 to 10 years?
So I think that basically there should be a focus for CTL treatments on probably more precise treatments, precision therapies that would improve the sequencing of the treatment. And as a better understanding of the biology of this disease improves, we'll see extremely more targeted immuno-based approaches that can provide more durable control of the disease. I think earlier diagnosis will become extremely important. So, excuse that ringing. Because of that, with better awareness of, especially among dermatologists, to be able to refer to the oncologist as quickly as possible will help the patients. But I'm hoping that in the next 5 to 10 years that CTCL gets managed more like other chronic cancers, where patients have multiple effective therapies available and physicians can tailor treatment strategies to maintain quality of life in long-term disease.
Absolutely. As you say, precision medicine, access, and quality of life, these matter. Thank you very much for your time today, Leonard. It's been a pleasure.
Okay, thank you, and I appreciate you taking the time with me.
And that concludes another episode of the pharmaphorum podcast. You can find more information about this episode, including a download link and information about previous installments at pharmaphorum.com/podcasts. The pharmaphorum podcast is also available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Overcast, Pocket Casts, Podbean, and pretty much wherever else you download your other podcasts from. Just search for pharmaphorum and follow and hit subscribe. Of course, don't forget to visit our website itself, where you can sign up for daily and weekly news and analysis bulletins. And do follow us on Blue Sky and LinkedIn at pharmaphorum. That's all for now. Thank you for listening.